He had everything a man could dream of, wealth that stretched across nations, power that made his name known in every corner, and charm that made people admire him wherever he went. Yet, in all of this, there was one thing he could not find: true love. The kind of love that looks past gold and diamonds, the kind of love that holds you in sickness and in health. Tired of being deceived, tired of women who saw only his riches, he made a decision that shocked even himself. He would live as a poor man. He would trade his fine suits for plain clothes, his mansions for a small room, and his luxury cars for walking barefoot on dusty roads. And in that hidden life, he hoped to find what money had denied him, a woman who would love him for his heart, not his wealth. His name was Adrian. At 32, he was one of the youngest billionaires in Africa. He owned hotels, companies, real estate, and technology firms. He was called the Golden Son of Lagos. Everywhere he went, people whispered about him. Women dressed their best just to catch his attention. But Adrian was lonely. He could buy everything except sincerity. At every dinner table, women smiled too brightly, asked too many questions about his money, and whispered of marriage while eyeing his fortune. He tried, again and again, but each time he discovered the truth: they loved his bank account, not his soul. One evening, as he stood by the window of his tallest building, staring at the sea of lights in Lagos, he sighed. "What good is wealth," he muttered, "if it cannot buy me the only thing I desire? Let me live as the poor live. Let me see the world through their eyes. And maybe, just maybe, I will find the one meant for me." And so, Adrian vanished from his world of riches. His staff thought he had traveled abroad. The media wondered why he was unseen. But Adrian had taken on a new identity. He cut his hair short, grew a small beard, and wore simple clothes. His new name was Ade. He rented a small room in a crowded town, far from the glittering city. To survive, he found work as a mechanic's assistant. His soft hands struggled with spanners and grease. He was laughed at by fellow workers. They jeered, "Look at this man, he doesn't even know how to fix a tire properly." Customers haggled with him as if he was nothing. Children mocked his worn shoes. Women ignored him on the street. For the first time, Adrian felt what it meant to be invisible. Yet, in that invisibility, he found a strange kind of peace. For once, he was not treated like a trophy. He was just a man. One hot afternoon, after hours under the sun fixing engines, Ade's stomach rumbled. He followed the smell of food and found a small wooden stall by the roadside. There, behind the counter, stood Amara, a young woman with kind eyes and a warm smile. She worked tirelessly, serving bowls of rice and beans, while helping her aging mother who sat nearby. Ade ordered the cheapest meal he could afford. But when she saw how hungry he looked, Amara added extra food to his plate and said softly, "Eat well. Life is not easy, but strength comes from a filled stomach." Ade stared at her, surprised. It had been years since someone gave to him without expecting anything back. He smiled for the first time that day. He ate slowly, savoring not just the food but the kindness behind it. The next day, he returned. And the day after that. Soon, it became a routine. Ade would finish work, walk to the stall, and share conversations with Amara. She told him about her struggles. Her father had passed, leaving her mother and siblings to care for. She worked hard to keep the family afloat, dreaming one day of becoming a teacher. Ade listened, drawn to her honesty and courage. Weeks turned into months. Ade and Amara grew closer. He admired how she treated everyone with respect, rich or poor, old or young. When customers mocked her small stall, she only smiled. When people teased her for serving a poor mechanic, she stood firm. One day, a group of men laughed at Ade as he ate. "Amara, why waste your time on this broke fellow? Can't you see he has nothing to offer?" Amara looked them in the eye and replied, "Respect is not about riches. I would rather share food with a kind man than eat gold with a cruel one. Ade's heart swelled. Never had anyone defended him so strongly. Every word she spoke drew him deeper. Still, he never revealed who he truly was. He wanted to be sure. One evening, Ade told her a story, his own story, but disguised. He spoke of a prince who had everything yet chose to live as a commoner to find true love. Amara listened quietly. When he finished, she laughed softly. That prince is wise, she said. For riches can attract many women, but only hardship reveals the faithful one. A woman who cannot walk with you in poverty should never sit beside you in wealth. Ade's eyes burned with emotion. Her words echoed exactly what he longed to hear. But the real test came when Ade fell ill. For days, he could not leave his bed. The neighbors mocked him. That poor mechanic will die in his room. No one will care. But Amara cared. Every day she came with food and medicine. She spent her little savings to buy him herbs. She cleaned his room, fanned him, and prayed for his recovery. She never complained. She never asked for anything in return. As Ade lay weak, watching her tend to him, he knew. This was the woman he had been searching for all his life. When he recovered, Ade asked Amara to meet him outside the town. She arrived, puzzled, to see a sleek black car waiting. Men in suits stepped out and bowed deeply. She looked at Ade, confused. He smiled gently and said, "There is something I must confess. My name is not Ade. My name is Adrian. I am the man the world calls the young billionaire." Amara froze. The mechanic she had fed, defended, and cared for was the same billionaire she had only heard of in stories. She felt her knees weaken. But Adrian held her hand. "You saw me when no one else did. You loved me when the world mocked me. Tell me, Amara, will you walk beside me, not as a servant of riches, but as the queen of my heart?" Tears filled her eyes. She whispered, "To me, you were never a poor man. You were Ade. And I loved you not for what you had, but for who you were." Their wedding became the talk of the nation. Some came out of curiosity, others in shame, for many remembered how they mocked Ade, not knowing he was Adrian. But Adrian cared little for their whispers. He stood proudly beside Amara, the woman who proved that love is not bought by money, but built by trust, sacrifice, and loyalty. Together, they lived not just in wealth, but in happiness. For Adrian had finally found what no amount of gold could buy, true love. And so, this story reminds us. Money can buy attention, but it cannot buy devotion. Riches may open doors, but they cannot open hearts. True love is tested in hardship, not in luxury. As the saying goes, a woman who eats with you in hunger will never leave you in abundance.